Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So, you'll notice my lighting's a little different on my camera. This is actual real daylight lighting, so it's real. So you're gonna see obviously the proper colors. This is a neon violet. That's from Craftsmart Neon Collection. I'll show you the tag. So that's what it looks like, and the color of it is violet. And that's what I'm going to use for Barney. And it is worsted. The green is going to come in for his belly. I don't have my tag. I don't know what color this is, but with the different settings I have on my camera, that's the actual color of it. So I thought it made more sense to have, instead of a great big bright light, it made more sense to have the actual daylight colors. And then this yellow is just going to be for his feet, for his claws, but we'll get to that. We're first going to start off, now this may be a two-parter because it's probably going to be a bit of a long video. It's a Barney doll, and he's not that big. I actually don't have the Barney doll. My grandkids have it because they scooped it up pretty quick after I made it, so I don't actually have the doll to show you in the video. We're going to start with his arms first. The first thing we have to make is his thumbs and his hand. So we're going to start with the thumb. We're using a 4.5 millimeter hook, and you're going to make a slip knot or a magic ring. Let me do that again slower so you can see. So I start with it like this. These two fingers are the two fingers I'm using. I'm going to wrap around those two fingers. I'm going to come across my ring finger, and I'm going to hold it with my helps if I'm on camera. And I'm going to hold it with my pinky. So these two are crossed right here. I'm going to go under this one. I'm going to grab this guy. I'm going to turn my hook over. So now it's like this. I'm going to turn. I'm going to go in between these two fingers, and I'm going to scoop up a piece. And that's going to be my chain one. So all in one quick movement, I have my magic ring that's secured with my chain one. So easy peasy. I feel like I should show you again. I probably already showed you in slow motion, but anyway. So I'm going to put 6 single crochets in the middle here. You're going to need a stitch marker because we're building this in amigurumi. So your first round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. You're going to do that 3 times, so you don't really need a stitch marker at this point. But if you're uncomfortable with finding the stitches, which a lot of new beginners are, you might want to use your stitch marker just to make sure you're getting all your stitches, because they can be hard to find when you're first starting out. So I'm going to flip this bad boy around. Make sure my center is pulled. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 9 stitches. So of course this second row, I'm just going to weave in my my tail from my magic ring. So once you're done your 4 rows, you can just go into the next stitch and you can fasten off. All you need is a little tiny sewing tail because it's just a thumb. You're going to sew it to the hand part, and yeah, that looks like a big thumb, but really it fits on my thumb. So it's not a small little guy. So go ahead and make your second thumb, and then we'll move on. The only reason I say that is because it's just going to be a lot faster in the video if we do it that way. So I'm going to put the pattern to the thumb up on the screen, and I want you just to follow the screen prompts, and I will see you right back here. Alright, I fastened off. I'm ready to move forward here. So we're going to start the hand. So we're going to make a magic ring. And we're going to do 6 single crochets. You're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So your stitch marker will go in after the first stitch, not the second stitch. And then you can put the second stitch in the same stitch. So on my channel, whenever you see something written with a bracket, it generally means the same stitch, but you'll just see this written as 2 single crochets in each stitch, and that's what that means. So you're just increasing every single stitch. So your next round, talking with the stitch marker in my mouth again. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, and it's going to bring you up to 18 stitches. So that's already my 1 single crochet. See if I can come in a little closer. That's already my 1 single crochet. So my next stitch is going to get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. I'm weaving in my tail from my magic ring, but if you're not comfortable doing that, it's no big deal. You might want to sew it in though. This is a mitten type. You don't want the top to come open. So repeat that all the way around. So you should have 18 stitches. For the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. And then we're going to come back and crochet or sew on the thumb and then get that done. So 5 rows, 1 single crochet in 18 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. That's my 5 rows. So get one of your thumbs. We're going to sew your thumb on. So I'm just going to come in, not in the next stitch, but the next stitch over. I'm going to go through where I fastened off into the hand part. I'm going to use this first stitch as a stitch, which means my fasten off is right at where we're sewing it. And then I'm going to use this third stitch over here as another stitch. So I crisscrossed. I like doing that. It just seems to be a good hold. Now this is getting crocheted on, so you don't need to be super duper important about much. So I just used 3 stitches. Did the middle, did this, and then the outside. Now our stop and go point is literally right next to the thumb. There's no stitch in between. We're going to go right into the thumb. So from here, all I want you to do is do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So starting in the very first stitch of the thumb, you're going to crochet around the thumb, Should probably put my marker in. So I've done 3 stitches. That's 6 stitches around the thumb. That's my sewing spot right there, so I'm not going to go into it. So the next available stitch is right over here. Oh, sorry, I missed where I should go. So mine says 22. I might have miscounted. The initial doll that I did, I had 23 stitches, so I'm only off by 1. It always happens to me when I do something like this, so it's not a big deal. So either have 23 or 22 stitches. I'll recount again this row. Your next row, we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease. We're going to do that 5 times, and then whatever leftover stitches you have, just put single crochets into them, because it's just not going to fit. So that's number 1. That's number 2. I'm not layering my decreases. I'm only doing the 1 decrease. So I'm just going to do a regular decrease and repeat. So this is my 5th one, and I've got 2 stitches left. So I have 17 stitches. I either lost one or I don't know. I've done something not right. So this isn't like your typical mitt where this thumb should be, oh sorry, this is not like your typical mitt where this thumb should be actually lower. This is going to be a doll, so it does look funny right now, but for the next 10 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these, what should be 18 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that's what you should have, and you can fasten off and go ahead and make your second one. So we're going to crochet this to the body, so you don't need a sewing tail. Well, you do. You just need a little sewing tail because we're going to crochet it on. So just a little guy. So go ahead and make your second one, and I will meet you right back here. So I've got my second one done. This one I stuffed. Now, I didn't put a whole lot in the thumb because it'll kind of make it stick out a bit. So, get your arm stuffed, and then next we're going to start building the feet because we need to make both of our legs. We're going to be sewing our legs, or crocheting our legs together. So We start with black. I actually forgot to mention the black when I was going through the colors that I used. So I don't want to put a whole lot in this thumb, so if you just kind of hold the thumb down while you stuff it, kind of helps with the overstuffing. Just make sure that these two are going to be the same size when you're done stuffing it. And I know the arms look funny now, but once the whole doll comes together, it's not so bad. The black I'm going to start with is, I'm going to use this sparkle black from Red Heart. But I did forget to mention the whole black part. If you go to any picture of Barney, bottom of his feet are black. So, my arms are done. So, get your colors, and I will meet you right back here to start the legs. Alright, so this is what we're doing next. So this is the start of the foot, and it starts with black, and we need to make his claws, toes, I don't know what they're supposed to be. So this is what we're jumping right into. So you're going to need yellow, purple, and black. So, starting with black, you're just going to make a slip knot. You're going to chain 8. So, this may be difficult to see. Let me turn my light up a little bit. That's not too bright, but black is difficult to see. So in this first stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet. The next 3 stitches are going to get 1 half double crochet each. The next 2 stitches are going to get 1 double crochet each. And you have 1 stitch left. And this 1 stitch, and you're going to see it written, I'm going to put it on my screen, is 6 double crochets you'll see written in brackets, and that means all in the same space. So this 1 stitch gets 6 double crochets. That is my 6. You see how it kind of is working its way around like that? That's what we want. So pull your middle closed, and starting in the stitch right next to your slip knot, which is going to be hard to show you because I got black sparkle, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it in your own space. Excuse me. I had to sneeze. So I'm going to put 2 double crochets, 1 in each stitch, not the same space. First stitch, second stitch gets double. We're doing the exact same thing we just did on the other side. We're just going backwards. So 3 half doubles, 1 in each stitch. I am weaving in my tail from my slip knot. And then your last stitch is a 1 single crochet. So that's the start of our foot. You can cut this little piece off now before it drives you nuts. So your next round, starting in your next stitch, I want you to use a stitch marker here so you can kind of follow along with me. You're going to put 2 single crochets, not in the same space. That's number 1. The next stitch gets a single crochet. 2 single crochets. Now you're going to do 3 half doubles, 1 in each stitch. Just make sure you're not getting into the same stitch. You have to come over here. It's kind of a weird angle the way it is when you come back around, but your next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles in the same space. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles in the same space. Over the next 6 stitches, you're going to put 2 double crochets in each stitch. And then you're going to do the next 2 stitches are going to get 2 half doubles in each, just like the other side. Then you're going to do 3 half doubles. And the last stitch will be 1 single crochet. So that's what it should look like. It's hard to see, I know. So, oh sorry, this one single crochet needs to be finished with purple, because we're going to purple. So finish your last stitch with purple. This is what I like to do. So my little straggler, I like to tie the black and the purple into a nice tight double knot. You can cut your black off because we're all done with that. So now we're just on purple, and that's in a knot. You don't really need to worry about it. With your purple, I want you to go into the back loops only and do 1 single crochet around the entire foot, which should be 29 stitches. So I know it's going to be hard to see, but in your back loop, so they're standing up looking right at you. You don't need to really turn anything over to try to find them. So 1 single crochet, 29 stitches, back loops only. So you can flip it around once your 29 stitches are done. So this is where we're going to incorporate yellow up here to start the toes. So this next round is going to be done in the full stitch. I want you to do 11 single crochets. This is number 1 with your marker. This is my 11th stitch. I'm going to finish it with yellow. So again, I'm going to take my yellow straggler and I'm going to tie it in with the purple. It's just for added security. I'm going to take my purple around with me, so I'm just going to weave in a bit. So we're going to do what's called a cluster stitch. You're going to yarn over, you're going to go into your stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop. And you're going to do that 4 times in total. So that's number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So once we have all of our loops pulled up, we're going to yarn over, we're going to wiggle our way through that, and we're going to secure it with a stitch. Now I want you to drop your yellow, take your purple, and do 1 single crochet on the top. You're going to come down here with your purple. I'm weaving in my yellow at the back. You're going to go through this stitch and you're going to do a slip stitch. So pull down on everything. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet. But this 1 single crochet is going to be finished with yellow. You got your first toe. That's how it ends up looking. So we do it again. In your next stitch, pull up a loop 4 times. Yarn over, pull through all of that, secure it with a stitch. And then bring in your purple, add another stitch, come down here with purple, do a slip stitch, and then a single crochet, finishing that single crochet with yellow, and doing it all over again. One more time, that's it, one more time. You see me shaking it like that? That's because I'm trying to pull up the loops as far as I can. So secure it. Drop your yellow. Bring your purple in and do another stitch. So we're done with the yellow, but I'm going to weave it in the rest of the way. So come down here, do your slip stitch. And now you're going to do 11 single crochets back to your marker. Or 10 single crochets. It's funny because I had 10 written down normally, and then when I did that one for the camera, it was 11. I counted 11. Who knows what I counted? And there you got it, your little toes. So we're done with the yellow. Get rid of that. I don't think we're ever going back to yellow, so that is gonzo. And now your next round, we're just kind of going back to normal now, is just going to be 1 single crochet in what should be 32 stitches. So it's going to be a little weird when you come to the toes. This is number 1. So 11 stitches takes you to, obviously, to the beginning of the yellow. Try to squeeze a stitch into there, it's a tight spot. That'll be 13. Another yellow, 14. I had 33 stitches, but I might have screwed up somewhere. But it's not the easiest thing to tell where you're supposed to put your stitches after you do cluster stitches like that. But so your next round, we are going to decrease at the toe area. So you're going to do 7 single crochets. I'm going to do a decrease here because I had 1 extra stitch, so I don't want to be in the wrong place, so I'm just going to decrease here. So 7 single crochets. You're going to do 1 single crochet decrease 7 times, so around this whole large portion of the foot. That's 1 single crochet. I'm gonna do invisible decrease, so I'm just going to use the front loops only to do my decrease. And then you should have 4 single crochets back to your marker. You should have 25 stitches. So, I know it looks strange, but I mean, this is Barney after all, right? So we're still decreasing around the toe, so you're going to do 7 single crochets again. That's my 7 single crochets. So now you're going to do a 1 single crochet decrease 5 times. Which is why I used the invisible decrease, because I knew that I was coming back around to do another one, and it just makes the hole smaller. And then 3 single crochets back to your marker. So now you should have 20 stitches. Nice funny round little dinosaur foot. So your next round is just going to be 3 single crochet decrease around the entire thing, bringing you down to 16 stitches. So we can put some stuffing in this guy now, because for the next 5 rows we're just going to be putting 1 single crochet each in those 16 stitches. So you might as well stuff the foot. Doesn't take much right at this point, but just make sure you keep the shape that it's supposed to be in. And for the next 5 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So once your 5 rows is done, I think I might have overstuffed my foot a little bit. I'll just move my stuffing around. So, ooh, we're going to increase a little bit, but we're going to increase back here. So your first stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets into, but after the first one, that's where your stitch marker is going to go. And then you can put the second one in. The next stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. And then you're going to do 12 single crochets around. That's my 12 single crochets the hard way. I don't know. I think I'm just holding it funny, and I just cannot finish that stitch. Anyway, these last 2 stitches, just put 2 single crochets each. This will bring you back up to 20 stitches. Oops. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet. Your next stitch is going to be 2 single crochets in the same space. And I want you to do 17 single crochets all the way around. And then your last, oh, I didn't do 17, sorry. Your last stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. And that'll be 22 stitches. So you can see we just kind of built up on this side and not so much over here. And there's a reason for it, is because if you look at Barney, he kind of balloons out at that part of his leg. So trust me, there's a method of my madness. And if I had my other doll that I made, I would show you what I was talking about, but I don't. Anyway, you should have 22 stitches. So for the next 10 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in those 22 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So I am done my 10 rows. So as you can see, this leg comes out on this side. I haven't finished stuffing it, but it bulges out on this side. So we have to make leg number 2 together, because leg number 2 has to bulge out on this side. So I had to specifically make them different. And that's just because he's got saddlebags, or whatever you want to call them. So, but that's what it should look like. I know it doesn't fit, I can zoom out. That's what it should look like. So, you can fasten off. So all you need for leg number 1 is just a sewing tail, like a little tiny one, to sew to the other one. When we finish leg number 2, we're not going to fasten off. So you can fasten off this one with just a short little tail and just kind of be done with that. And this is completely on the wrong side to sew together, so we'll figure that out when we get there, but you can just set them aside and we'll start leg number 2. So get your black again, and we'll jump right into this. So it pretty much starts off the exact same way. So it starts out the same way, but there is a little bit of a difference. So I want you to chain 8. I'll zoom back in, brighten up my little area here. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, 3 half double crochets, two double crochets, and then in this final stitch you're going to do 6 double crochets, all in the same space, just like before. So you can pull your slip knot shut because it probably worked its way open. And right next to the slip knot, you're going to do double crochets, 2 double crochets, singles. Where's my head at? Oh, sorry. I think I put those in the same space accidentally. It's hard to see. Black is so hard to see. 2 double crochets. And then you're going to do 3 half double crochets. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet. So again, I'm just going to cut my little nubby off. And your next round is going to be 2 single crochets. So after the first one, you can put your stitch marker in just so you can follow along with me. And then go over here. I know this here looks like it's the second stitch, but it's not. It's actually the first stitch. So go over here, put your second stitch in. That's 2 single crochets, and you're going to do 3 half doubles. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles in the same space. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles in the same space. Over the next 6 stitches, you're going to put 2 double crochets into each stitch. There we go. The next 2 stitches gets 2 half doubles in each stitch. Oh, I think I did one too many. 2. 1, 2, 3, 6. Let's try this again. 2 half doubles. I did too many doubles. 3 half doubles. 1 in each stitch. And then your last stitch just cuts the 1 single crochet. Oh, I can't see the stitch. I know it's there. So hard to see with black. Oh yeah, we gotta change to purple. So don't finish that stitch with your black. Finish it with your purple. Your next round is going to be the 1 single crochet in each stitch. I'm just going to leave that for now. In the back loops only. So you can flip this around now. I'm just going to cut my black off. I'm just going to leave this stuff into the center. It's no big deal. So we're going to do 11 single crochets, and then we're going to do our clusters with our yellow. This is my 11th stitch. I'm going to finish it with yellow. So with yellow, I'm going to do my first cluster stitch. So yarn over and pull up 4 loops. Pull through, secure the stitch. Put another stitch in with your purple. Come down here, do a slip stitch and 1 single crochet. But you're going to finish that 1 single crochet with your yellow. And you're going to do another cluster stitch. pull all my colors out. Secure the stitch. Come up here with your purple, make a stitch, pull down, do a slip stitch, and one single crochet, finishing that with your yellow, and do another cluster stitch. Secure that. Come up here with your purple, make a stitch. Come down here, do a slip stitch. And then you can do 10 single crochets back to your marker. So you can snip off your yellow, and then these can be pushed out, these cluster stitches. You can have them either way. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. And this is where we do funny things with the clusters. But you should end up with 32 stitches. So I ended up with 33 again, so I'm guessing that I was supposed to have 33 in the first place. Sometimes when I do my, design my things, I'm sitting in front of the TV. I obviously didn't count right, because that's the second foot. They ended up with 32 stitches. So I'm going to do my decrease here again, because I just want my numbers to match. So if you're like me and ending up with 33 both times, then just do a decrease like I did. If you didn't do one on this leg though, I wouldn't do it. But I'm just going to do my decrease for my next row. So it starts to change a bit after these next 3 rows. Well, I guess 8. Then it changes for where we flare out here. It's completely different. So I want you to do 7 single crochets. Again, I'm going to do a decrease because I have an extra stitch. So my 7th stitch is going to be a decrease. And then I'm going to start doing my 1 single crochet decrease 7 times. and then 4 single crochets back to your marker. So you should have 25 stitches, and if you didn't decrease there, you'll have 26 stitches. So your next round is going to be 7 single crochets. That's my 7 single crochets. So now I'm going to do 1 single crochet decrease 5 times. That's my 5 times, and then 3 single crochets to your marker. So this puts you at 20 stitches. Oh yeah, we're going to do one more row, and then I'll put stuffing in it. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your decrease. So you're going to do that all the way around. And then after this, you're going to have 5 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 16 stitches that you're going to be left with. So I'm going to put all that on my pause screen just so the video goes a little bit quicker. And then when we come back, that's when things are going to change from what we did on the last leg. Okay, so we're going to start doing here. I got to put some stuffing in mine first. I did my 5 rows. So what we're going to do next is going to be completely different than what we did on the other leg for just a couple of rows, and then we'll be done. You can do your 10 rows, but this part is completely different. So first you're going to do 5 single crochets. So that brings you around to the other side. Over the next 4 stitches, you're going to do 2 single crochets in each. Then you're going to do 7 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets. So you get the same numbers. We're just increasing in a different spot. So that's number 1. This is my 5 single crochets. So you're going to put 2 single crochets into the next stitch. You're going to do 4 single crochets. And then you're going to put 2 single crochets into the next stitch. And then you're going to do 9 single crochets back to your marker. So this gives you 22 stitches, just like the other leg. So that increases this side to give you the saddlebag on the opposite side as your other leg. So you see how that, oh, you see how that's sticking out? So my saddlebag's on this side. It's not a very pronounced saddlebag, but he has them, so I had to put them in because I'm trying to keep it real. So again, for the next 10 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in those 22 stitches. Don't fasten off though, because, whoa, I almost lost my marker. Don't fasten off because we've got to crochet these two legs together. So I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. Let me zoom out a little bit more. I've got mine all stuffed, so it should flare out with the saddlebags here on the side. So this is where your marker is. We need to get this out of the way. So Barney's toes are slightly kind of out like that. Like this would be front. So they're out like this, which is why I put the toes where I put them when I crocheted it. So we need to get a piece because this piece isn't going to do it. So we need to just tuck this down because it's on the wrong side. We need to get just a little piece and do a few stitches in between here just to hold them together. So this isn't super duper imperative. However, you either do it this way now or you sew up the crotch later. So put a slip knot on one end of the, or yeah, a slip knot. And put the other end through a needle. So just make sure that your toes are exactly the way you want them. Get my marker out of the way. So come back here, 1, 2, 3. I'm like the 4th stitch back, because you don't want to have a very big gap for the crotch. So come back here and find out where you kind of feel even. And again, make sure your feet are pointing. Go through the little slip knot that you've made. Get my other piece. And just tighten that down. I'm going to put a double knot in it just to be safe. So again, I'm just making sure my feet are right. And then just come back stitch for stitch back up to here. So this is going to be my 4th one, which is where the marker is. That's my 4th stitch to sew them together. And I'm all the way across, so I should not have a hole in my crotch. So you can I'm just going back to the center to make my knot. That's all I'm doing. So I'll kind of give that a little bit of a wiggle so that just tightens right down. And then stick your crap all down inside your leg. And the first round is going to be easy peasy. We're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Originally I wrote down 37 stitches, but honestly I don't know if that's right or not. So I know that we sewed in that marker spot, but you can still put a stitch in there because it'll cut down on any gaps that might happen. So, and then pop across and do the same thing at the back when you get around to there. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Easy peasy. So I am back around. I need to be in a different spot for what we're going to be doing next, because we're going to be adding our belly color. So I need to be on the other side as far as my stitch marker goes. So we're going to be doing the tapestry crochet with the green for the belly. So I need at least 9 stitches, so I actually have to come around to here, well no, right about here maybe, to start the belly. So I'm just going to do a single crochet. I knew this was going to be a problem when I filmed my video, that I probably wouldn't end up in the same space that I did when I made the doll, although I didn't think I would be this far off. So let's figure it out. So I need to start my belly right about mid-toe. So before I incorporate the green, which is the belly part, I do 10 stitches. So that brings me to about mid-toe. So hopefully that works out from where I am. So I am 3 stitches past where his legs meet. So this will be your new marker. Alright, so I am back. I'm come all the way around, and I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th stitch, 3, 4, 5, 6th stitch past where my legs join. That's where my new marker spot's going to be, so I've already marked it, and that's going to be number 1. I want you to do 6 single crochets. So that's number 1. This is my 6th single crochet. So in the next stitch, I want you to do 2 single crochets in the same space. So we got to increase and change colors. So we're doing the belly and tapestry crochet. So now I want you to do 3 single crochets, and on the 3rd stitch we're going to change colors. So this is my 3rd stitch. I'm going to finish that with my green. And with my green, I'm going to do 3 single crochets. This is my 3rd single crochet. And then the next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. And then with B still, I want you to do 3 single crochets. And then the next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. 3 single crochets. So finish your third single crochet with your purple, and then the next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and then around to the rest of the marker, back to the marker, will be a 6 single crochet increase. That's 6 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So I can't really do any more because I only have 4 stitches left, so I'm just going to put a single crochet in the rest of those 4 stitches. So doing the tapestry really screws up the belly once you've tried to get started on it, but then it all works out in the end. So what I'm doing here does not match what I did for my other doll because I ended up in a completely different space. So I know I'm probably going to get a lot of questions about this video, and if you don't want to do the tapestry crochet, then just do a circle and sew it on to the belly. But this I'm just going to wing it from this point on. Actually, I just winged this part because it does not match what my pattern says. Because my initial pattern, I ended up at the back. I didn't end up at the front of the legs. So you're going to crochet around until you're the stitch before the green. So we're going to flare out. That's my 10th stitch. So I'm going to grab my green, which is way over here. Try to keep it loose though. And with my green, I am going to do, so this is going to be a 5 single crochet increase. I don't even know how many stitches that I just did here, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, apparently I'm not doing the proper increase, but that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So we want to continue our flaring out, so we need to flare out on this side as well. So that's my 3rd stitch, and I'm going to go back to my purple. Four and 5 stitches all together, so 2 purple and then 2 in the same space. So continue your 5 single crochet increase all the way around back to your marker with your purple. And my last stitch gets 2 single crochets. So that's what it should look like. So this next round is just going to be straight single crochets. We're not going to increase while we change colors. We're just going to change colors. So again, we're flaring out because we're going to do our circle. So we're going to flare out on each side. So that's number 1. That's my 9th stitch. Let me find my green. And you're just going to do it all the way across. This is my 19th stitch, so I'm only going to do part of it and go back to my purple. And then just single crochet back to your marker. This is going to be one of those designs where you can only do on video because it does not going to match my written instructions. So, follow your colors for the next 5 rows, easy peasy. And then we start to decrease. So that's as wide as we're going with our green. So now you just got to follow exactly what you've already done for the next 5 rows. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have at this point. In the camera it doesn't look so even, but it is. Maybe a little bit off. But it'll look better when we stuff it. So we need to start decreasing now. And then I think we're going to be finishing this part 1 shortly here. So, I don't know why I got 2 stitch markers. So we're going to single crochet with our purple till we get around to our purple. No, sorry, because we're going to do a 6 single crochet decrease. That's what we're going to do. So this is number 1. And I don't think that'll take us all the way around because I got 9, but that's number 1. That's my 6 single crochets and then my decrease. So I'm just going to do invisible decreases, which are done in the front loops. So we have to do a decrease. I mean, I just did my decrease, but I mean we have to continue with the decreases and change colors. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So I'm gonna, my second stitch will be in the green here, and then I'll switch to green. So we're still doing 6 single crochet decrease. So here we're going to have to switch colors again. And don't forget, we're in the middle of decreasing, so we're going to do, like bringing it in, bringing it in. So do 3 single crochets before you go back to your purple. That's 4, 5, and 6, and then your decrease. So just remember, don't start counting over again when you change your colors. So we're still going to come in on the green belly, but we're not decreasing this row. It's just going to be straight 1 single crochet in each stitch. The only thing is for the belly, you're going to come in another one. So that's 10 for me. I don't know where you are with your numbers, so. So it was 13 green for me. Yours might be a little different, since it kind of left you on your own to figure out where to start and stop. This video is more of a... this video is certainly not a beginner video, that's for sure. So do the same thing for the next row. Like follow the same colors. You don't have to come in, just follow the same colors. And then the next row after that will come in on the green. But this row will just be following the exact same thing you just did. So for this round, we're going to come in again on the green. We're not decreasing the doll at all, or the numbers in the round. We're just decreasing the green belly. And his belly's not exactly just round, it actually extends. If you look at the picture of Barney, I'll put that on the screen right now. So this next round is going to be a 5 single crochet decrease, but I still want you to try to decrease the belly. So your next round is just following the colors. So we still have a few more rows. We're going to be sewing the arms on soon, so I don't want to keep going for part 1. I think we're just going to end it here. And part 2 is going to be obviously to finish. We got one more row. We have to sew the arms on and then still finish our green part before we get to the head. So there's lots to do for this project, but yeah, I think we'll stop right here for part 1, and I will see you. You can stuff this if you want. I'm going to start stuffing mine, and I will see you in part 2. Hi guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Barney. So I put some stuffing in mine. We have one row before we sew on our arms. So let's just jump right into this. We're getting pretty high up here. So I want you to do a 4 single crochet decrease around, and I want you to follow your colors. If you want to come in more on the belly, you can. I'm just going to do my 4 single crochet decrease no matter what color I'm on. So that's my 4 single crochet and then my decrease. We're going to be doing a few decreases. So I'm going to do invisible. I'm going to come in a little bit more from my belly, so I'm going to go into this first green one before I switch to green. And that's one stitch, so I'm still doing my 4 single crochet decrease. So in my last green one, I'm going to be putting a purple because I'm coming in on this side too. And I'm still doing my 4 single crochet decrease. So I'm going to squeak one more last decrease in here before the marker, even though it's only a 3 single crochet decrease. So let's just pull this out for a minute. I'm just going to put this around my loop just to protect my loop so it doesn't go anywhere. And this is where we're going to sew the arms on. So get your arms ready. This just adds more complication to it if you are a newbie and you're trying to follow this. So your thumb is going to point out like that, because that would to me seem backwards. So your thumb needs to point out to the front of the body, and all you have to do is figure out where your middle is and then what hand you're sewing where. So I'm I'm gonna say this one's probably going to be on this side of the body. Untangle myself. Let's zoom out a little bit. So you just got to figure out where you're putting it and then sew it on using as many stitches as you want. The number of stitches will change your counts. That's 5 for me, and I think that's probably pretty good. It's like that, this part of it right there. So it shouldn't have too many holes. Shouldn't have any holes. And I'm going to go through the loop and make a knot. So that's one hand. Now the big tricky part is to get the other one to match that side. So my little thingy isn't on this side like it should be. So I'm just going to tuck that down in there. I'm going to get a piece of purple for my other roll, and I'm going to make a slip knot on this side. I used to just bring the piece across, but you can do that, but there's just so many places you could just make a mistake, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm going to attach way over here on this side. So I'm just going to go through the stitch, and when my loop comes up, I'm going to go through the loop, and then I'm going to pull that, and I'm going to make an extra knot just to keep it safe, and then I can tuck that right down. So now I just got to make sure that my hand is going to be even. So again, that's 5 stitches. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go through and go through the loop. Oops, I might have pulled it a little small. I am trying not to lose I'm gonna wiggle my knot tight, and I'll just tuck this down in there. So I'm gonna have a weird spot here where I'd fastened off from the other one, but that's okay. I can get around that. I don't think my green is quite in the middle, but hopefully yours worked out better than mine. Which is why I didn't really give you numbers, is because I probably would have screwed mine up somehow. I gotta restuff my bottom, but I can do that later. This round is simply just following your green to your purple and doing one single crochet in each stitch around. So you don't need to come in anymore here. This is the size it should be, which is, I got 5 stitches. So you just need to go around. So it's up to you whether you want to come back here, and you can share a stitch with where you sewed if you want to, just to make sure there's not going to be any holes. I like to do that just because sometimes you can get a small hole in the armpit. So I have 58 stitches, and my last doll I had 58 stitches in the same spot, so I'm in the same place. I did screw up a couple of times here in my green, so that's why it looks like that. That's my fault, which is another good thing I wasn't telling you my numbers, or you would have the same thing going on. But sometimes you just end in the wrong spot. Where I started wasn't too bad, except for this where I actually started to start early, but turns out I only had 4 green stitches over here, so, which is what I had in my last doll too. So that seemed to all work out, and I ended up with 58 around, which is what I had on my last one as well. So I'm back where I was with my last doll, but the numbers still turned out to be different for this one. So now we got continued decrease because we need to eventually get to the neck and then eventually get to the head. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochet decrease, and again you're following the colors. We're not quite done with the green because it actually goes quite a ways up his neck. So we're just going to have to keep with it until we get to the neck area. But we're not doing anything more with this. It's going to be 4 stitches. It's always going to be 4 stitches. So 3 single crochet decrease is really all you got to worry about for the round. So your next row is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and according to my notes this should bring you down to 34 stitches. Following the same colors, and then we're going to be stopping our colors pretty soon, but like I said, they go right up to his neck. So, but we are coming up to the neck, so just follow your colors. So your next round, you can put some stuffing in these arms if you want to, and the rest of your body. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of your stitches, following your colors. So you got to do the green too. So. I have 35 stitches instead of 34, so close enough. This last row is the last row we're using with the color. So after this row, you're not going to have to use the color anymore, and it's just going to be a 1 single crochet decrease. So I ended up doing 3 up. Broke this down to 3 and did. I don't actually like it, so hopefully you didn't do that. You kept it at 4. I shouldn't have done that, but I've already got mine all screwed up anyway. This green, you don't need anymore. However, when I come back around, my next row is just gonna be 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. I'm gonna weave this in. So I probably don't need this much to weave, but I am gonna weave it in. So prior to, I'm gonna stuff this upper part of my arms and then the rest of my belly, because we're gonna soon move on to making his head. So this was not an easy design to do with the whole belly thing and giving numbers and like how many of this and that do you need. I knew that people were gonna sew it together differently, and they were also gonna be putting you know, sewing things on differently, which puts them in a different space, to just be able to say do 10 purple, do 15 green, do, you know, I knew I couldn't do that because of the way people sew things together. So my green didn't turn out too horrible, though it does look like it goes around. It could just be the way I'm stuffing it. So anyway, try not to put too much stuffing. You don't want your arms out like that, but I think I got a whole lot more than I need. But I'll move it around after I do my 1 single crochet. So just do your 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. And like I said, I'm going to weave in my green and then I'll just cut it. Well, mine's already cut off, but I'll just tuck it down into the stuffing. So my notes say that I had 23 stitches, if that helps. He does have a big neck, so could be 23 stitches. So that's my, I actually had 23 stitches. So that's my green all done. So I'm just going to kind of leave a bit of a tail. And I'm going to tuck it down in that stuffing. I waved it all the way around here because if you ever have to wash this thing, like say your kid pukes on it or something, you ever have to wash this thing, it is not going to start unraveling here, hopefully. So it's the only drawback to doing that, not the whole patch. But I didn't really want anything sewn to this guy. I wanted to do a doll that was absolutely not anything sewn to him. So your next round, we're going to start the head. So this is going to get really squishy in here. You're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch. Right now you have 23 stitches, which means you're going to have 46. So it's going to get really squishy really fast. So after your first stitch, that's when the stitch marker goes in. Well, and as I keep talking to you like you're beginners, you're avid. An avid person should be doing this, not a beginner person, but 2 single crochet in each stitch around. If there are beginners out there that are gonna attempt this video, then I think good on you, because you shouldn't be scared of stuff like this. And there's lots of help out there if you needed any help from me, or any of the other viewers could answer any questions as well. It just, if you're not familiar with the tapestry crochet, you might kind of struggle making your green thing. I'm familiar with it and I still screwed it up. So anyway, 2 single crochet in each stitch around, and I will see you on the other side. So that's what my your 2 single crochet in each stitch should look like. It looks like it's now like a cuff of a shirt, but so your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 46 stitches. And then we're going to start increasing. So, I have a great big teardrop. That's what it reminds me of. So, I'm going to put down a few rows on your next pause screen. This next row is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. It's going to bring you up to 57 stitches. And then I want you to do 7 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 57 stitches. So, you're going to have a couple of things on your pause screen, just trying to make the video shorter. So that's number 1, 2, and 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So follow your pause screen and I will meet you on the other side. So that is my 7 rows. You're going to hear my washing machine and stuff going. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 46 stitches, or however much you have. And the next 2 rows after that will just be 1 single crochet in those 46 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and your decrease. So follow my screen prompts and I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and then 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's number 1, that's number 2, and then your decrease. So I wrote down that you would have 2 extra stitches when you're done your sequence. So my last sequence I couldn't finish either, but if you're coming across that, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, it's going to look like a Barney regardless. So this is what you should have. This is going to be our last bunch of rows. So I'm going to leave you 2 this last bit, but I'll come back and fasten off and cinch with you. But your last round is going to be 1 single crochet decrease. I did not have 2 extra stitches left. I was fine with mine, so don't be too concerned with your numbers because it's just the top of the head. It's no big deal. So your last round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. So I wrote down 24 stitches, and then I want you to do 4 rows. I need the head to come. So his head comes out with these big cheeks. It comes out and around, and then it kind of peeks off like that. And doing what I did with the 4 rows, it kind of gives that shape. So I know it's unorthodox, but everything I do on this channel is unorthodox, so I don't know what to tell you. That's what I did. That's how I designed it. So that's what I want you to do. 1 single crochet decrease and then 4 rows of whatever many stitches you have. It doesn't even matter. We're coming to the end of the head. And then we're probably going, that's probably going to be the last bit of it, because this has been a super duper long video. I'm going to do a part 3 for the mouth, the eyes, and the tail. Just because it's just been so long. But he's a big boy. Like, there's nothing small about this guy. He's a big boy. So I will see you. I will meet you back for fastening off and doing the cinch. So this is what it should look like. Funny. Funny, funny. So mine is stuffed up, obviously, up to here. So I'm going to show you how I stuff it to get the shape that we're looking for. So you can fasten off. You're going to need enough to sew like a little sewing tail. And then, well, a cinching tail. Anyway, just a little guy. Alright. I know, he's really tall. Barney had such a funny shaped head. I wasn't sure how I was going to do this until I was there. You gotta make sure you're getting really down in the sides here, not so much the top like a chimney top, but the sides before the chimney top. Like that. To kind of make his head do that. I know stuffing is such a complex thing. I mean, people think that you just jam stuffing into something, but you don't. You gotta shape and everything else. So when he looks like that on all sides, and we're gonna cinch. So front loop only. Well, you can do the whole stitch if you want. I'm gonna do mine in the front just because it's a big hole. So I'm going to go in the front loop and out the next loop, just like that. Come in a little bit. So just like that, in and out. You can skip one if you want, because it is such a large hole. And in the front loop, out the next front loop. So this is where you can just pull. So it's gonna give the top a nicer look. And then you just sew that closed. Sorry, I'm having a hard time making my doll sit and stay. So just pop across, go through the loop. Give that a nice couple of wiggles. Now I'm gonna have to move. I got lumps because it looks like I haven't filled it enough. So you get these little lumps on top. But I'm just gonna move my stuffing around after. So you can make a second knot across this way, because first we went this way and now I'm gonna, so I like to just do an X and I'm gonna wiggle that. It just makes the knot really tight, and I'm just going to weave my end just a couple of times in and out. Cut it off. Then you kind of just have to shape the head after that. So his head should look like this. So it's not, it's polite on top because that's going to always be showing. There's nothing that goes on top of Barney's head. He doesn't have ears. He has nothing that goes on top of his head. So that is his head. So everything else is crocheted on. So we will do that in part 3. I think that's enough for part 2. We will do that in part 3. Hi guys, welcome to part 3 of Barney, where we're gonna just jump right into this. This is gonna be eyes, the mouth, the inside of the mouth, the teeth, so we're gonna do all of that. You're gonna need glue because we're gonna be using some glue. So this is an Amazon washable clear school glue, and that's what I use. I find it holds better than fabric glue by a long shot. There's craft glues out there that you can use. E6000 is one that you can use. That's upstairs. I'm not going to use that. I think it's a little too industrial for something like this. But I do use glue to kind of hold everything in place. And you can also use starch for your teeth. But I didn't find I needed them for how I did the teeth. I didn't find that I really needed them. But this is going to look weird and horrible as we're doing it because I thought, oh my god, this is going to turn out horrible. But it turned out to look like Barney. So, I mean, not exactly. I'm not perfect. But we're going to crochet the eyes. And then the last part of it is going to be the ginormous tail. So I'm going to leave that for the end. So what we're going to start on is we got to make the top jaw and the inside of it, and then the bottom jaw and the inside of it. Those are 2 separate pieces. So we'll start with the top. So I'm still using my 4.5, so you want to start with your purple. But the inside of the mouth, you're going to need black and white because the inside of Barney's mouth is black and his teeth are white, obviously, like everybody else's teeth. So you're going to need white and black. I'm probably going to need more white. But that's a little bit of black that I have, and I'm probably not going to need much more than that. It doesn't take much. It's not big by any means. So let's start with a slip knot. So let's start with a slip knot, and you're going to chain 7. In the first stitch, not counting the one that's on your thing, obviously, let me get into frame, you're going to do 2 single crochets. So do them any way you want, but I would not use the back pumps. That's my 2 single crochets. Then you're going to do 2 half double crochets, which is a yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And you're going to do 1 single crochet. And then in this last stitch, you're going to see it written with brackets around it. And that means all in the same space on my channels. I know I've already said that, but this last stitch is going to get 4 single crochets all in the same space. So my slip knot open because that's what they're meant for, is to open and close. So just pull that tight and then turn it sideways. I'm going to weave in my tail. You can do whatever you want. I know some people struggle, it's uncomfortable. But this is where my slip knot hole is. Right next to it's a stitch. I need you to go into that and do 1 single crochet. So we're going to do the same thing back up as we did going this way. We're just going to do it in backwards order. So I want you to do 2 half doubles. and then I want you to do 2 singles. So that brings you right back up to the point. I'm just going to snip off my tail because I don't need it to be getting in my way. So I'm going to put a stitch marker in, and I would suggest you do too, just to follow me, because this is where we start to lose stitches. They're hard to see, they're hard to, some people put 2 stitches in the same stitch here, so you got to just be really careful. But put a stitch in there. We're going to do 1 single crochet increase all the way around. So that's my 1 single crochet. So this looks like a stitch here, but it's the stitch that I'm already in, so you got to come way over here to this guy and do your increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. So you're going to repeat that all the way around. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So you should have 19 stitches at this point. This is going to be the front of his mouth. Now I want you to do 2 single crochets and an increase. I should bring you up to 25 stitches. That's number 1. And again, that looks like a stitch, but this looks like a stitch here, but it's not. I'm already in that, so you got to pop over here. 2 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So turn that, flip that around, and that's going to be the front of your mouth. For the next 4 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 28 stitches. And that'll really make it curve around. So this is your 4 rows. So this is what it's going to look like. And this is going to be, if you notice, his snout is very square. And the picture, I'll put up a picture right now. So I just want you to fasten off. And leave yourself a bit of a sewing tail. So this is going to be his snout. We're going to put stuffing in this. So we're going to sew it on open. You can keep the stuffing out until you've sewn it on. I just want to show you the shape. So it's going to go like that. I know I'm really close to the camera. Oh, there we go. I know, again, it just looks funny, but it will all come together. So let's make the inside of the mouth. So you're going to need your black, and you're going to chain 7, and you're going to do 6 single crochets. So do 6 single crochets back up. That's all the stitches you've got to work with, so 1 in each. That's my 6th one. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to turn. I'm going to do 6 single crochets, so 1 in each stitch, all the way across. I'm going to chain 1, turn. I'm going to do 2 single crochets. I'm going to do a decrease right here in the middle, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. I want you to fasten off right here. So as you can see, this wants to curl, and that's great. I need you to get your white, make a slip knot. We're going to reattach. So this rounded part is going to be where his teeth go. But this corner, so this is the rounded part we just, actually this is the part we just did. This is the rounded part. It's only rounded because I came in, I decreased, so this is the decreased side. I want the rounded side. So as you can see, it's kind of rounded now. I want you to go into this corner, and I want you to reattach with your white. So I'm just going to use a single crochet. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch 3/4 of the way around. So I'm going to go around and down, and I'm going to meet up with where I just fastened off. 2 in each stitch, starting with the one you just reattached in. Now on the sides there's no stitches, you just need to stick your hook wherever you can stick it. Stitches on the bottom you can follow. For all you tight crocheters, try to keep this loose. These are your teeth. So I'm going to weave in this tail, this black tail, from where I started. Try not to get stuck on something right there. So I'm back around pretty much. I'm just going to put 2 in this space. And I'm going to fasten off. It's up to you what color you sew with. So, because it wants to curl this way, this is what we're going to use for your teeth. So we need to sew this to this, and that's going to be your teeth. See what I mean? So that's what I kind of weaved in, so I'm just going to cut this off. I'm going to use my black to sew. So I'm going to tuck in my 2 white pieces. But he does have these prominent teeth, so I felt compelled to have to do this. Because when I didn't do it, because I thought it was stupid looking, he didn't look like a Barney without these stupid teeth. So this is the front of his, like that's the part that sticks out. So when you sew it on, oops, now I got it upside down. Put the black at the open end, and the white goes in the front because those are teeth, and then the black is his palette, right? Yeah, that's how it's gonna get sewn on. This is where I use glue because I don't spend a whole lot of time doing the sewing part. So make this as flat as you can. Just make sure when you put this on, you've got it where it needs to be. Sorry, I keep leaving frame. Let me move my camera so I stay where I'm supposed to stay. So these teeth, I mean, I'm pushing it down, but they will naturally do this. But you don't want them to hang down that much because this is not going to look good if they do. And I'm not going to be too anal about having that kind of hang down, just more the front. This can stay flat for all I care. So I'm just going to sew. Just make sure you don't go through. I'm just going to sew. I'm going to get glue on my needle, but that's alright. I'm just going to go in and out in the black area. Just kind of sew roughly. But don't do too long of stitches because I don't want it to be noticeable. And I'm just going to stay in the black. So mine's all sewn in. I'm not going to really worry about leaving a knot because my yarn, my piece, is all full of glue right now. So once I put stuffing in here, I'm pretty sure that's going to stick to the stuffing and nothing's going to happen to my teeth. So just make sure there's no glue back behind your teeth because it has to. I mean, you don't want the black to be sticking up. But so now we're going to make the bottom mouth. So with the bottom mouth, it's a little bit different. It's not as square as the top mouth, so we're going to make a magic ring and we're going to put 6 single crochets in there. That's my 6. So we're going to kick this amigurumi style, and no slip stitching, no chaining. We're just going to go straight into the next stitch and you're going to put 2 single crochets in each space. So after the first one, you're going to put your marker, and then number 2. This will give you 12 stitches, so just count to 12 just to make sure that you've got all your stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. So this will bring you up to 18. That's my 1 single crochet. And then my increase is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. Now it's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So for the next 4 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and then I'll meet you back to do the fasten off, because we're going to whip stitch, and we're going to sew this on concaved. So do your 4 rows, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to put any stuffing in it. So fasten off. You're going to need a sewing tail. This one is getting whip stitched, and concaved is what this means, so that's why we're not putting stuffing in it. And the mouth part that we're going to make is going to sit right inside here with the teeth on it, but we're going to sew it on like this. The top jaw was more important to get the right shape than the bottom jaw. The glue on my table. So grab your black. The bottom part's made a little bit differently than it did for the top part of the jaw, but you're going to make a slip knot. You're going to chain 6, and you're going to do 5 single crochets. This is my 5th stitch. This sparkly stuff is pretty, but you do get stuck on this sparkle. So chain 1, turn your work. You're going to do 5 single crochets. So this one's a little bit simpler. Well, I mean, the other one wasn't complex or anything, but and you're going to fasten off. Again, I'm gonna use the black to sew with. So anyway, get some white. I'm gonna do our teeth. You're gonna make a slip knot. Whoa, almost did not make a very good slip knot. You're gonna reattach. Again, same thing. Find a corner. I'm going to do the corner right across from where I fastened off. I get in there. So reattach. Again, I'm just going to use a single crochet like I do with every project I do. Reattaching. I'm going to do 1 single crochet, increase 3/4 of the way around. So I'm going to start in this stitch, even though I already have one there, and then my increase will be 2 single crochets. So again, we're on a raw edge. You just got to find out where your holes are going to be, where you're going to stick it. So we're doing less teeth on the bottom. I'm probably not going to get, oh, maybe I will. No, I'm not going to get the increase in, but I'm just going to stop there. It's completely up to you whether you want to keep going, but yeah, I guess I did kind of come around, put my increase in, evens it up a little bit so you can fasten off. Just need enough to weave. That's all the white I had left. That was close, but you don't need a whole lot, so weave your white in unless you're using that to sew with. So that's my teeth for the bottom. So after we whip stitch this shut, you're gonna put the black end on the open side. Well, it's gonna be the whip stitch side, but this little guy just sits right in here, and these teeth automatically stand up like that, so you won't even have to do anything, and then that whole thing gets sewn to the thing. So again, I'm going to use glue. A whip stitch, and I want you to actually do a real whip stitch, which is back loop to back loop. It's not the whole stitch, it's only the back loop to the back loop. The reason I want you to do that is because this is a mouth, and we want it to look. There's a reason why people do what they do as far as the whip stitch, because it gives a certain look, and that's the look we want to put out there after it's sewn on. You want to be able to see. So again, you're not stuffing this because it needs to be concaved. So you should still be able to see all your back loops. So once you've got it all concave like you should, this black part has to go on the whip stitch side. Just like that. So this one's not as simple to sew on because we just whip stitched it. Either way, it's glued, so it doesn't really matter. So now that we've got top and bottom jaw done, let's pin it so you get an idea of what's going to happen. Make sure my teeth are sticking up. So I don't know why he was made like this. He's an ugly dinosaur. So this has to be curved like that because that's what his mouth does. And he's fairly low, I would say. I've got him pretty low on the head. That's his neck. And then this top one. So if you don't want to stuff the top one, you don't have to stuff it. It's going to go like that. I'm going to put stuffing in mine, because his top jaw is so much, I should probably wait for my glue to dry, but his top jaw, his snout or whatever, is so much bigger than, my glue's not quite dry. To you it's going to be seconds. To me, I'm going to go and wait for my top of my jaw to dry, and then I'm going to come back. So to you, like I said, it's a couple of seconds. To me, it's probably going to be a half a day or so. You won't hear my dryer anymore. Let's just put it that way when I come back. So in the meantime, you could probably sew your bottom jaw on. And then we'll get, well, I can do the eyes, I guess, while this is drying. I'm just going to stick some pins through to kind of hold it in place. Yeah, we'll just do the eyes while this is drying. So while that's drying, let's get started with our eyes. We're going to start with black because we got to do the pupils. So make a magic ring with your 4.5, and you're going to put 4 single crochets inside this magic ring. This is my 4th one. I'm going to finish that with my white. So, with my white, I'm going to do, in the first stitch, 2 single crochets in that same space. So don't really worry about what's going on back here, other than pulling your stuff tight, because we're going to all probably just tie it together anyway. So 2 single crochets in the first stitch. You got 4 stitches. Your next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. So keep it loosey-goosey. We're just shaping the eyeball at this point. Your next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. So I'm doing extended stitches a little bit. I'm kind of pulling out before I finish the stitch. And then your last stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. Again, loosey-goosey. You don't want this to curl a whole bunch. And then you can just go into your next stitch, slip stitch, and fasten off. So I'm just going to fasten off with everything I have, because that is the end of my white. And that's his eyeball. As far as all this crap back here, this I tie all together. You tie it in such a tight little double knot. It's not going to be really, like, it's not going to stick up from the head. It won't be too bulbous is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not going to tuck any of this in because I'm using glue. I'm just going to cut this off. And that, even though I don't have my face done yet, find another pin. That will get sewn to the head. I know, he's so creepy looking. I kept saying that when I was making him. I'm like, oh my god, he's so creepy looking. So I don't have a whole lot of stuffing in the top, but I do have enough stuffing. I'm going to try to pin him into place. If I can find my big pins. There's a big one. Just to give you an idea of what we're looking at doing here, you've got to make sure that the mouth here is together. And actually, for my last doll, I had enough from sewing that I actually joined them as I sewed along. So just an idea for you. I'll just make sure that these are together. I'm not even on screen. These are together. This was a difficult doll to do. So this is not a perfect video. It's not by any means like a lot of my other videos, which are really well done, really well put together. I wasn't even planning on using this guy for a video. I was just planning on making one for my grandson. So when I did the video, I gotta pull up a picture of Barney to see where his eyes go. When I did the video, I was like, oh, his eyes are fairly close together. They're also really low. But I got too much head, so I don't know. I'm going to put it there, the one eye. So go ahead and make your second eye. I will meet you back here, and we'll pin that on. And that'll give you an idea of what we're looking at. But that's his mouth anyway. Those are his teeth and his mouth. So that's why I did what I did. Because they look like teeth. But it is super duper creepy. So that's him so far. Just pinned, not sewn. Anyway, get your second eye done, and we'll put it on right about here, and then we'll move on to the tail. So this is my idea, but you can put yours wherever the heck you want. So now that you've got an idea of how it's being sewn on, I'm going to do all mine off camera. I'm going to use glue for the back of my eyes though, just because if you don't get close enough to the outside, they will curl up. So I just want to make sure that the glue kind of holds them down so they're wider and they don't curl. So that's the face of Barney. So yeah, get all your stuff sewn on, and I'll meet you right back here to get the tail done. And that'll be the end of the video. Okie dokie, so that's my face all sewn on. Hopefully yours looks okay. So you can see how what I did with the white looks like teeth. I find this to be the creepiest part of the dinosaur. Anyway, last but not least, actually it is the last thing to do, is the tail. So it's time consuming because it's a long tail. So we're going to start with a magic ring. We need it to be really pointy on the end. So we're going to put 4 single crochets in this magic ring. It helps to keep it loose since it's going to be such a small circle. Here, I'm going to zoom in. It really helps just to keep it loose. Your next round is just going to be these 4 single crochets. So So I'm not going to use the stitch marker, I'm just going to count to 4. But you'll recognize your spots. It'll flip over like that. So that's my 4 single crochets, so we can wiggle this around. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. So we're going to increase this really, really slowly. That's 1 single crochet. Then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So we're only increasing by literally 2 stitches every single row. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets. So now you have 6 stitches. So that's how slow it's going to go. We have to make it turn a little bit, so we're going to do weird stuff, but your next row is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and then we're going to do the weird stuff. So that is number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And again. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. And then you're going to do 3 half double crochets and an increase. Because we got to make it turn. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets. And then this next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Then you're going to do 3 half double crochets. And try not to make it tight, like you want the height, because you need it to go sideways, crooked, right? So the slanty, you need the height. So try not to make it tight. And then your last stitch is going to be 2 half doubles in the same space. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. We're doing the same thing. That's 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Then you're going to do 4 half double crochets and an increase. This is my 4th half double. And then your increase of 2 half doubles in the same space. So it's going to look a little weird. That's okay. It's Barney. Everything about Barney is weird. I'm telling you, I wasn't even going to do a video. But Barney's, sorry, that was my phone. You should have 12 stitches at this point. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So putting this single crochet tightens it up, and you're going to see more of a slant. And that's why we do it, or that's why I do it. So 1 single crochet in each stitch, 12 stitches. So now your turn in your tail is a little more pronounced. So this kind of kicks up a little bit. Do you see it? This might be hard to see. I didn't turn I usually work with 2 lights on, but it just was glaring in my face, so I turned it off. So hopefully you can see that okay. So we're going to start increasing. You're going to do 5 single crochet increase. We're not going to do any more of that weird stuff. I just needed it to turn at the bottom of the tail. So now we're just going to do normal stuff. So 5 single crochets and an increase. So bring it up to 14 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase, and we're just going to keep increasing until we do our 10 single crochet increase. So I'm going to put all of those. You're going to have 7 single crochet increase, 8 single crochet increase, 9 single crochet increase, and 10. You're going to have 4 rounds up on your next screen, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This should kick up a little bit here. You should have 24 stitches. This does look a little funny right there. I might have been doing it too tight. It'll be fine once I put stuffing into it. So for the next 14 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in those 24 stitches. And then we're going to come back and do weird stuff again, just to make it slightly turn. And then we're going to be done. So the long part is off camera. You don't need to watch the video. You can just have it on pause or whatever you want to do. But it is still long, and I'm just trying to keep the video kind of short because it's a third part, right? So 14 rows, 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 14 rows. So I stuffed it so that this part kind of goes how it's supposed to go. And you'll see why when we sew it on. It's because it's going to be on the thing. And that's what his tail does. So it's going to be on the thing. You know what I mean. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to do the same thing here. Let me take this off first. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to do, so we still have 24 stitches. We're going to do 12 half doubles. So I now need it to turn the other way. So I need to put my half doubles on this side and my singles on this side. So I need 12 half doubles. That's 12 half doubles. And now 12 singles. We're going to do that for 2 rows. So that's my 2 rows of the 12 half doubles and the 12 singles. And for the The last 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. That's all you're going to do, and then you can fasten off, and I'll meet you right back here after you're done all that. So, I'm done mine. You're probably wondering what this nonsense was all about, but that's your tail. So this part is supposed to come up, and this part is going over. So when I stuffed it, I kind of pushed up on this, right? So the whole reasoning behind it is the angle of which the tail is supposed to be hanging. Now, I didn't make it long enough for it to actually sit on a table or anything. But when we sew it on, we have to sew it on like literally right down here. And that's why I needed to do this on top to get the angle properly. It's hard for you to see. Let me zoom out a bit. My camera's gonna die, but when I sew it on like this, it's the angle I needed. It's so hard to show you. And that's why I had to do this part, is to get that angle. Or it would have been like way out here. I needed it to be more closer to the legs. That's why I had to do this 12 half double up here. So, this gets sewn on open. Mine's fully stuffed. I'm going to sew mine on, probably in fast motion on camera, and I will see you when I'm done. Oh, you can fasten off, by the way. So when I get to this part, I actually just do a mattress stitch. So that's how I sewed my tail on. So because I still have more of this, I'm going to go around a second time, but this time I'm going to be doing a mattress stitch just to tighten everything up. But you don't have to do this. This is just preference I like to do just to keep everything nice and tight, because the kids are going to be grabbing onto this tail and they're going to be swinging it around, and I just want to make sure that it's not going to come off. So if you don't know what a mattress stitch is, you're going to grab some stitches from the doll and you're going to grab some stitches from the butt. It could be 2, could be 3, could be, you know, whatever. Just make sure you match what you do on the other side. So I went around a second time and I put my mattress stitch in and I pulled everything nice and snug. And I'm just gonna weave up into my tail. But I don't think this is gonna come undone anytime soon, because I've got normal stitches around, except for the mattress stitch I did under here, and then I did a mattress stitch all the way around, pulling everything in nice and tight. my tail is not going anywhere, so I'm just weaving. So, as you can see, it's not sticking way out because I put this little, the half doubles up here. So it's more closer to the legs than it would have been normally. And then it kind of flares out like Barney's tail does. Now it's not as long, it doesn't touch the floor or anything, but that is my Barney. And as bad as this video was, and as screwed up as my numbers were, he turned out pretty good. And I mean, this is just all because I decided I wanted to make a Barney for my grandsons. And I was more than part way through it when I decided, I should probably, you know, write down what I'm doing to make a video. And then I had to kind of try to remember what I was doing. So I had screwed up my belly here, but you know what? Some kid's not even going to notice that my belly's screwed up. So I'm okay with that. Hopefully yours turned out a little bit better. I wish I could have given you numbers, but you know, it is what it is. It's a crap show of a video. I don't normally put out videos like this, but I just thought he was cute. And if an avid crocheter can get a hold of this video and go, hey, you know what, that's pretty cool, I'm gonna make a Barney, and they're able to do it for one of their grandkids, then that's fantastic. I mean, I know it was a crapshoot of a video, but thanks for joining me anyway, guys. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.